human life. And this doesn't really need all that much explaining. I'm going to show this again. I show it all the time. This is the death toll between Israelis and Palestinians over the last 15 years. The orange are Palestinians and the purple are Israelis. And look at the amount of Palestinians who have been killed during the past 2 months here. The number, so this is from December 12th, but so they're saying 18,000. I've seen a recent update from MSNBC saying it's over 19,000 now, over 19,000 Palestinians who have been killed. These three people, it's of course a tragedy, but it's an example of what has been going on over and over and over and over again. And not just these past 2 months, but for years in Gaza and as well, to a lesser extent, but still in the West Bank. And in case you're curious, roughly 129 hostages currently remain in Gaza. So Sarah Leo Whitson, who runs a human rights organization, or is the executive director of Dawn, writes here, thousands of Palestinians have described how Israel fires at unarmed people who pose no threat, but only when it happens to Israelis do people believe it. We wrote a report some years ago specifically on the topic of Israel shooting at Gazans waving white flags. So again, this is from a human rights organization. They've documented this closely, and now that it's happened to 3 Israelis, more people are willing to actually believe it. And on this death toll, it's also worth pointing out that about half of them are children, because the population in Gaza, 47% are under 18 years old. For a variety of reasons, life in Gaza is hard to say the least. There's a lack of water, a lack of food, and that was before these past couple of months. So it's gotten even worse. A lack of medicine, lack of healthcare. And when you indiscriminately drop bombs on a densely populated area like Gaza, you're bound to hit a lot of children in the process. Asal Rad shared this, and I think it's just a great example of what's going on. The U.S. asking, can you minimize civilian casualties? Israel, no. Can you stop settler attacks on the West Bank? No. Can you accept a 2-state solution? No. Can you stop expanding settlements? No. Can you end the war sooner? No. Okay, here's billions of dollars. All of these, and I've mentioned this before in other videos, but all of these I call them soft asks because there's no hard line to them. There's no consequences for disobeying. But all these asks from Secretary Blinken or Joe Biden to Israel, they don't mean anything. It's pure politics. It's showing, oh yes, of course we care about civilian lives. But you just asking Israel to do these things doesn't mean you actually care. There has to be some real weight behind the asks. Unless there is the billions of dollars at stake, why would Israel bother to listen? They're just going to keep doing what they do unless there are some consequences for not listening to these asks. So this recent example with these hostages is it's the inevitable consequence of there being no actual consequences to Israel and their continued actions from the rest of the world. When you have allies like the US and the UK who do not care at all what you do and show that there's not going to be any consequences for you breaking international law again and again, why is Israel going to stop? And again, to be clear, why is the Israeli government going to stop? A lot of people within Israel want Netanyahu out. A lot of them still support the war, but they want Netanyahu out. And they see that the attack on October 7th happened largely because the warnings were not listened to. The Israeli government was warned about an attack coming, and they did nothing to stop it. Last thing here. The UK and Germany, this came out yesterday, are now calling for a sustainable ceasefire soon, but not right now. I could do a whole video on this and how ridiculous this is. So they want to see a ceasefire now. So before they were not calling for a ceasefire. Now they're saying, yes, we want a ceasefire, but not right now because we want one that is sustainable. I don't know why you can't call for a ceasefire now and then work together on a larger project to extend that ceasefire permanently, to try and come to some sort of resolution here. There's no need to continue the indiscriminate bombing of Gaza as you figure out your shit for a sustainable ceasefire. It's a really, to me, again, this is politics. This is just pure politics. It's a way to try and ride the line between people who want a ceasefire and those bloodthirsty individuals who don't. It's a way to give in to the far right wing Israeli government while also trying to placate your voters at home who are calling for an end to this violence. It's, again, it's politics and it's disgusting.